we're going to move on to the next one, which we're going through a very classic Joseki. Nowadays, modernly, most players will play this or this. But if we go back to the old school way before 2016 and push here to break the tiger's mouth, well, now black will guard and then white makes a base. Now, for black, black has a weakness here. And so we need to figure out a way to fix this weakness in good fashion, right? And so to do that, we can actually cut here, which creates a problem for white, right? Here's the ladder, so on and so forth. White should respond. White definitely should respond. And so now black has two options. We'll look at the good one first. What the name of this example is, right? What we're trying to learn here is called increasing the sacrifice. So we play this stone knowing that black is going to die. If you guys want to pause the video and check to see if black can live here, the answer is no, but feel free to read it out. The idea now is still we know that black's going to die, but we push anyway to get more liberties. The reason, well, we'll see how it goes, and then I'll explain the reason. So now black has two liberties, so it's going to take white 2 turns to kill black here. So black gets to take a free Atari, then gets to squeeze the stone, and then white has forced to take. So when we look at this position, black has fixed its gap. Now, mind you, it's an empty triangle, but he did it in Sente. So now black has the next move. But he fixed his problem and made white over-concentrated, right? This was a lot of stones for very little territory. And we don't even have to respond here. We can take a bigger move. And if white takes this, this is pretty small, right? And so black can take another big move, right? So in this position, if we increase our sacrifice, we can take a bunch of free moves and get good shape. Now, what if we didn't do that, right? What if we just Atari'd, right? Where we don't know to increase the sacrifice, and so all we know is, hey, there's an Atari here, right? Well, once the white takes this, now there's no real weaknesses for white. You could argue there's an Atari here, but there's still no weaknesses for white. And so this weakness here now becomes a big problem, right? Um, so this is kind of a waste, right? If we don't increase the sacrifice, white fix is really easy, and black is left with a defect. That's essentially what is left here. So it's a big difference from when we give essentially apply more liberties, right? White's going to have to take 2 turns to capture this, and black gets all the fun. Whereas in this case, if we just play, then white only takes 1 turn, and there's no problem for white anymore. All right. That is, to me, a very high level technique. I definitely don't see this a lot unless somebody's been specifically taught it. Because when we start as double digit Q players, we don't normally want to give away stones for free, right? Like, this is suicide. We know this is going to get killed. But once we do become into this position, or once we realize that, how to use it, it's very important to understand to increase your sacrifice in order to get more free attacks, right? So, all right, I'll move on. Okay, so here we go again. White, so black played here, knowing that black can be killed. In this case, we know that black can't live here, but we play it anyway. The reason is because it creates a cut, which is going to help us get a bunch of free moves. So first, white plays the Atari, and once again, we come up with the options of just taking the free move or extending or increasing the sacrifice. So if we increase the sacrifice, it's going to take white 2 more turns to kill this instead of 1, which then allows us to take a Sente move, and then another Sente move, and then another Sente move, and now we finish it. Now, technically we didn't end in Sente, but we have this really, really nice thick shape, and white has got sealed in almost on both sides. This one you could argue is not sealed. And white just feels a little over concentrated, right? White had to pay a lot of stones just to get 4 points or 2 points. You can add these on if you want, but the idea is that black got really good shape on the outside. And that's the focus of this lecture, right? Is to get good shape. So let's look at it. So keep this image in mind and how it looks here, right? Black has somewhat of a seal over here, which is nice. So now let's just look if we didn't increase the sacrifice, right? Let's say we just made an oopsie and we didn't think that sorry, the word oopsie sounds silly to me. But let's say we made a mistake and we're all like, oh, the stone's gonna die. Well, I guess I'll just let it die. So once we go here, we have A and B. So if black plays here, which is the proper move, we can judge the positions of the last two positions, right? Remember, in the last one, we had the sealed up. In this one, white is just much more safe. And black stones are kind of thin, right? It's not like black is alive or doing that great here. It's okay, but it's not that great, right? And if black was to overly try and seal, aggressively try and seal, which I know is a problem for a lot of double digit Q players, they just get cut now. And this is very unreasonable because white is safe in the corner. So white has one group that's safe and one group that isn't. But black has two groups that aren't safe. So white has the advantage in the fight. This is very unreasonable for black to make this Hane. So if we go back, really try and understand how important it is, usually on the third line, where if you can be killed in one move, you don't want to allow that, right? So you take the extra move, even though you're giving your opponent more points, you're going to get more freedom to play a lot of fun stuff, right? Um, Maybe it's hard to see at first, but I hope this introduction to this will help you find these moves for yourself.